If you spend more than just a few minutes kind of watching over a network admin's shoulders, you're going to notice them open up a command window and start to work with command line tools. And I want to talk about those in this video. Then in a separate video that'll be entitled Command Line Tools Demo, I'll show you how some of these command line tools can be used and give you some pointers on developing even more information and abilities with these tools. Now, there are quite a few command line tools that are available to network administrators, and you should be familiar with these for the exam. And then I'll go one step farther and say that you should be familiar with these when you go out there and get your first network admin job. If you have an admin job, I'm not going to teach you anything in this video. You know these tools and you've used them before. We're talking about things like ipconfig, ping, traceroute, traceRT, ARP, netstat, NBTstat, and NSLOOKUP. Now, I'm showing them here in lowercase because it just looks right that way, and that's the way you're normally going to see them, and I want you to be able to recognize them on the exam. Now, ipconfig is kind of the standard. It will display and allow you to manage the IP configuration on a Windows computer. This is how we can easily check to see what the current IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and IP version 6 information is. We can use the /all switch to give us even more information with ipconfig. We can use the /release switch, and notice /release 6 will work with IP version 6 addresses, but this basically releases the address of the specified adapter. So whatever adapter we're looking at, we can use the /release switch and get rid of the IP information. Then we can use the /renew switch with ipconfig to basically ask the DHCP server to give us a new address. Totally refresh this thing and let's renew the address on this machine. There's also a /display DNS switch that will display the info in the DNS cache on that machine as well. Ping is another command you will use quite a bit. Notice you can use the -6 switch with ping to make it work with IP version 6 addressing, but ping tests connectivity between two devices on the network. Now, usually, you're going to execute the command ping, put a space, and put an IP address. You can also use the T switch, which will ping that one device over and over and over until you actually stop it. Okay, now that's great when you've got a connectivity issue and you're checking cables, you're doing all kind of stuff, but you don't know what's going to do it. Just ping it and let it ping and ping and ping until you start to see the proper response and you know you just found the correct cable or you corrected whatever was going on. The -A switch will resolve an address to a host name. That's pretty cool. We can kind of do a DNS lookup, if you will, at the same time. The -N switch will ping whatever number of times you put in the place of N. So if I put ping 43, it'll ping 43 times and then stop. And the W switch will report the timeout in milliseconds to wait for each reply. And so I can control that. Traceroute's another really cool command. When I do traceroute, it basically does a ping, but it pings every individual hop to another router or the entire route between the host that I'm on and the host that I'm trying to reach. Now watch for this on the exam. Notice on the Windows platform, it's traceRT, T-R-A-C-E-R-T. If you're working on Linux, Unix, or Mac, it's traceroute, and route is spelled out. So just kind of watch that little quirk on the exam. And then there's ARP, A-R-P. Now, there's something that goes on in the background you never see, but when we start to work with IP addresses and pass information, everything in IP gets resolved ultimately down to the MAC address of every device. Now, the Address Resolution Protocol, ARP, is what does this. It just kind of jumps into play in the background and takes care of this for us. And what it does, when a resolution occurs and it has matched an IP address to a MAC address, it writes that information into a cache. This is a little memory area out there so that the next time we try to contact this IP address, it can check the cache and it doesn't have to do the ARP process every time. Now we can use ARP to display the contents of that ARP cache, and it will let us know. We can see where a particular IP address and MAC address is being pointed to, and from time to time, we might need to clear this and start over. Netstat. This is a really cool one. This displays protocol stats and current TCP/IP connections. Now, this one is really interesting, especially if you're trying to deal with malware or spyware or something. You can actually go in and see which TCP/IP connections have been made. If you use it without any switches, it will display all the active connections for all outbound TCP/IP connections. And I'll just tell you to try this one. We're going to do it in the demo video, but it might shock you sometimes how many connections your machine has to other locations. You can use this -A switch to display current connections and listening ports. Pretty cool there to find out what ports you're listening on. The E switch will also display Ethernet statistics. The S switch will list per protocol statistics, and that can be kind of interesting. And if you play with these and get comfortable with them, you're really going to become kind of a maestro at doing troubleshooting just from the command line to see exactly what's going on a machine and exactly what it's connected to. NBTstat provides information on NetBIOS over TCP/IP connections. This is useful only on Windows computers, so you won't see it on Unix, Linux, Mac computers. You can use the A switch with NBTstat to display the adapter status, including the NetBIOS name and the MAC address of the card. And we're talking about the network interface card there. The last one we'll take a look at is NSLookup. This is used to troubleshoot DNS-related issues. It'll display the current host name and IP address of the local DNS server. And you can also do some specific lookups. This is another one to just kind of go out and play with, get comfortable with. So that's a quick overview of the command line tools. Join me in a video entitled Command Line Tools Demo, and we'll do a couple of quick demos with a few of these and kind of show you how to get more information on each and every one of them.